All right, everybody. Woo! We've got the sales hunter in the house, Mark Hunter, author of A Mind for Sales. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing good, and I need a couple more cups of coffee to keep up with you, man. I love it.
Yeah, we're changing the world. Mind for Sales. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing good, and I need a couple more cups of coffee to keep.
That was the playback for the start. So tell me what's going on, Mark.
Really just getting this. This book is really about changing people's mindset, and I had somebody say that, did you know 2 years ago or a year ago when you began to write the book that it would come out this time? And I said, I had no clue. I don't think anybody else did. But I've had a lot of people say that it's just a perfect book for right now. So that's really what because speaking gone. The keynote speaking is gone. I was on a Zoom call last night with about 15 fairly heavyweight speakers. Yeah. And boy, believe me, they were all laughing, but let me tell you something, they're all hurting inside because they have no ability to do anything other than stand on the stage. That's it.
Yeah, right.
That business could, for the big venue, could be gone for 12 to 18 months.
Wow.
If you really stop and think about it, are you going to want to jump into a crowd of 1,000 people? Look at college football. There's really conversations that do they, shift the college football season? Because again, do you want to go into a stadium with 50,000 people? Probably not. I don't know. Again, now we got into this pretty quickly. We could get out of it quickly. You don't know.
Yeah.
These are all, so, I feel good because I do a lot of consulting business. I have a lot of online business, the books, a lot of other streams of revenue. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Right.
Because boy, those who are just online, those who are just keynote and those who are keynote from a, hey, this is fun. Are we having a fun meeting? Kind of fill in the time slot without real content.
Yeah.
They're dying quickly.
So how do you shift this mindset, right? From not just, reaching out to people, but your value proposition, right? Because everyone's value propositions seem to be compromised, especially those who have not embraced this like screen to screen environment that we're in right now.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. Because if you're, here's what I shared in a note this morning. I said, first of all, you have to stop and ask yourself this question. Has your outcome really changed? Your outcome when you were standing in front of 1,000 people or 2 people is the same. It's to help people, okay? It's to influence. All that's changed is the medium, the communication method. That's all that's changed. We will very quickly be adapting to this whole ability, and I've already done a couple, delivering keynote speeches, essentially, from right here. And, that's going to become the norm. I'm doing a lot more team programs where I've got, 50, 100, 150, 200 people on a call. And that's what we have to adapt to very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's one of the things just from speaking on stage, over the years, you gain this unconscious competence of being able to survey the room, right? And you can start to pick on different nuances of people who might be like confused or people that are upset or people that are excited, right? And you tend to focus on the people who are excited because they're the ones that are going to give you energy. But at the same time, that level of awareness helps you sometimes be able to say, hey, or it helps you maybe reframe so that you can explain it another way. So you get that kind of like concerned look to be like, oh, okay, yeah, like I get that now. So in doing that in this environment, it's a little bit more challenging.
Well, it is a little more challenging, but again, we're going to adapt. It's just like, when we first began using the telephone, years and years ago, how do you pick up emotion? Well, you know what? We adapt. We're going to see this methodology, this format, become the mainstay. And it's become the mainstay because, like, if we're going to visit the doctor, it's now going to be on your phone. If you go to Canada right now, all doctor's appointments are done by way of telemed. and it's video on your phone.
Wow.
And,
Yeah.
we're going to see that here in the US. There's going to be so many pieces. Now, I look at it this way. It really allows us to be able to be far more flexible in how we communicate and how we talk, because now I don't have to get on an airplane. I mean, there are some industries that are going to be, wow, changed. Whether they'll be changed permanently, I don't know. But, air travel could very much significantly be altered. I don't think long term, but short term. But I mean, because I can sit here and I can reach 5, 6, 7 audiences in one day. If I was traveling, I might be able to reach one a day,
Right.
maybe 2, depending on where the cities were located.
Yeah.
So, I think what we're going to see, we're going to see a explosion of quality. Right now, we're seeing an explosion of quantity, but that will eventually fade and will be replaced by an explosion of quality.
Well, gosh, the first thing you said is it's about the outcome, right?
It is.
Like literally about the outcome. So how does your deliverable or your value proposition move the needle, right? Whether that's increased productivity, whether that's increased sales, whether that's decreased cost. And so getting really creative, I think, is going to be a way to, kind of circumvent that with just not being able to do what we do in person. But for going back to where your book, we have to be in a right frame of mind in order to be able to do this. So maybe you can kind of share some things that would help anybody kind of just like realign around what their core purpose is.
Well, here's the way you have to take a look at it. You can have all the best tools in the world. You can have all the sales stack, all the SaaS tools, all the things you want. But if your headset's not right, there's no way you're going to be able to use them properly. And this is what I find happening right now. There's so many salespeople and so many others that they're sitting there with the deer in the headlights. First of all, they're saying, well, how can I sell in this environment? Okay, now that right there tells me one thing. They're caught up too much in the drama of the world. I can't change the world.
Yeah.
All I can do is change how I look at the world. That's all I can do. That's all I can do. And what I have to stop and ask myself is this question. I'm in this situation. You're in this situation. So I just have to say, hey, how do I be more patient to understand your backstory? Like before we hit record, you and I were talking. We're sharing the backstory. Everybody's got a backstory. And right now, especially, we have to listen to your personal backstory and your professional backstory, because people are craving for connection. This is the first time we've actually talked live in probably a couple years, maybe even longer than that. So yet here we are, and we picked up the conversation right where we left off, because we both made the comment about, remember the first time we met years ago in Phoenix. This is what you have to stop and ask yourself this question. Is my head screwed on the right way? And the test on this is this. Am I focused on helping others? Am I focused on being able to influence and impact others in a positive way? And right now, that's what sales is. Well, that's what sales has been for years and years. But boy, wow, more so than ever right now. Because if you can't be focused on the other person, there is zero way you're ever going to be successful, period.
Gosh, that's so good. That's so good. Having your head screwed on straight, right? And I could see a good visual of that with being able to kind of identify some of those key characteristics. And I even think for, the sales managers that are out there who have to have the courage, right? And the discipline to keep their team aligned around some of those core principles. What do you see some of the recommendations for sales managers today?
Well, yeah, here's first of all, you got to stay focused and keep discipline amongst the team. Don't let people go wonky. I'm telling sales managers, you have to have a daily huddle in the morning, and probably have to have a daily huddle in the afternoon. And there's two things. One, in the morning, You got to get everybody on screen share, Zoom, whatever you want to do. And it's really, hey, these are the objectives. These are what we're chasing today. And if the team, even the slight bit begins to get wonky, you got to really have people, okay, let's block times. This is what you're going to be doing at 11 o'clock. This is what you're going to be doing at 12 o'clock. Because it's going to be so easy for people to get emotionally caught up in other things. And once they start getting emotionally caught up in other things, the productivity just drops. B, you got to end the day celebrating. Now, I always say start the day celebrating, but you got to end the day celebrating. Why? Because here's the whole thing. If you don't celebrate the end of the day, they're going to say, oh man, that was a sucky day. And they're going to take it into the evening. They're going to take it into their, and for most people where they're sheltering in place, that means they got kids, they could have elderly people with them. They got dogs, they got everything. It's Noah's Ark in every house right now. I get it. And you have to, right? I mean, there's a visual there, right?
It's real. It's real.
Yeah.
It's real, not just
it's
for the
real.
salespeople, for the customers too, right?
And see, this is the other piece that comes along. You have to be disciplined, but you have to be tolerant. Because if I'm on a Zoom call with somebody and some kid walks in the room, it's okay. Yeah. I've got a Zoom call coming up in about an hour with the senior leadership team of a company, of a pretty good sized company, and they're all working from home. And there'll be about 8 of us. And yeah, it's several of them are fairly young. They've got kids at home and that's life. But see, what does this mean? Sales is people. That's really what it is. If you really think, what is business? It's people. It's people. That's why a mind for sales might seem like an unusual book, but it's not. It's not at all. Because when I mean unusual book, it's like Mark, why would? Because I had several people say, Mark, why did you write that book? Because your first book was high profit selling, and then the second book was high profit prospecting. And they said, this is really kind of different. And I said, no, it's not. Because if you think about this, I wrote High Profit Selling, which is about how to maximize price. After I wrote that book, it really became clear that if you don't start with the right prospects, you can't close at full price. So I wrote High Profit Prospecting. Then after I wrote High Profit Prospecting, I realized, wait a minute, if you don't have your head screwed on straight, there's no way you can prospect. So then I wrote A Mind for Sales. Basically what I'm doing is I'm just following the Star Wars model of doing prequels. That's all. That's how I came up with the books. Yeah.
No, I can totally relate. I can totally relate, a time in my life where I just did not have it in me. And in fact, I became a software developer, like I totally changed gears, never letting all that stuff go before. But once I was kind of able to get out of that, it's just become a whole lot easier, right? There isn't that kind of resistance. And so the being in the right frame of mind is everything. It's so critical, especially with all what you see in the media and how people respond to it, and it's your 5 closest friends who kind of lift you up, or the 5 that drag you down.
Hey, you know what? Let's stop right there for a second. That is so key, because I'll tell you what, I've got a couple chapters in my book on a mastermind group, how to create a mastermind group. And because it's so critical. I mean, I'm part of several. And it's critical because we're very tight, we're very close, and we very much support one another. You do. I mean, Jim Rohn used the line years ago, you become the sum of the 5 people you associate with the most. And the problem is there are too many people out there hanging around with negative voices. Well, activity can grow pretty quickly. And man, it can bring you down. And I look around, this is absolutely crazy. I see a tremendous number of sales opportunities. I mean, I'm seeing so many different industries pivot, reposition themselves, change value propositions. And believe me, they are starting to thrive. And because again, you either find a way to thrive or you die. Well, that's not a very good option. Okay. Just kind of saying, just not a good option. Putting your head in the sand is not a good option. Uh, and I'm seeing people do that. And I go, you know what? That head could be in the sand for a long time. So,
Well, what if you are one of the, what if you finally come to a realization, right? You have self-awareness that you are one of the negative people, that you realize you have brought people down. How do you get yourself back up, your head out of the sand?
well, first of all, you got to, this goes back to an old Zig Ziglar deal. You simply got to take a piece of paper and write down 10 things that you're thankful for. And believe me, we all have far more than we realize. We do. We have so much to be thankful for. And it's easy to sit here. And it was funny, but I was on this call with some people who I thought were fairly negative. And they were negative about their industry. And I go, hold it. Think about every other industry. Don't go thinking you're the only one. See, what negative people, what happens is they allow themselves to become isolated. They become isolated on themselves, and they feel this is me. You don't understand my situation. And you've got to break free of that. And I think one of the ways you break free of that, of course, is, you make this list, what you're thankful for, but then you begin to realize, who am I going to impact? Who can I impact? I'll share a very, very quick thing, and I can't share the person's name. He was CEO of a Fortune 100 company. About 15 years ago, I had the privilege of working with him. And CEO, and what was very interesting was he also served on the board of directors of a couple other companies, like many CEOs do. And the gentleman was incredibly gracious. And I asked him one time, I said, you really, and this is a gentleman who had a security detail. He had the jet and they had the helicopter. This company had a company helicopter at the time. And so, I mean, this guy did not have to pay anybody respect at all. I mean, it was kiss the ring, but he was incredibly gracious. I remember going out to dinner with him one night, and he asked the wait staff, how's your day been? How long you been working here? And he was engaged with people. And I asked him, I said, you're very engaging with anybody who you meet, and you're very complimentary. He said, and I asked him, I said, have you always done that? He says, well, I do that for a couple of reasons. First of all, I care about other people, but B, I want to help lift other people up. This was the kicker though. He said, but there's a secret to that. When I lift other people up, I make better decisions. Drop the mic. Now, if you knew this gentleman and you knew the situations that he went through several very serious issues in his corporation. He also went through some very serious issues on the boards that he served on. And if I told you the company's names, you would be able to identify this individual. And it's interesting, at any one of those junctions, the board of directors that he was on, or the other, the shareholders or the board of directors that he worked for as a CEO, could easily have thrown him to the curb. You are the sacrificial lamb. You are the reason, boom, we're throwing you to the curb. Never once. Because through each one of those, he was the calm voice that guided the organization through. And in each situation, they came out much stronger. Now, I'm sure there were 100 things at play, but here's something. He always took the time to lift other people up. Think about that for a moment.
It's huge.
It's huge. I mean, it is absolutely huge. And again, this is one of the core pieces of the book, A Mind for Sales. It's because when I have my head screwed on straight, it's amazing the level of impact and influence. It works. And right now in the situation we're in, oh man, is it needed? Wow, is it needed? So big. So critical.
What's the cost? What's the cost for that? What's the investment for that?
For what?
Be nice.
Nothing. Nothing. Right. That's what's beautiful. Hey, the only cost is your decision to do it. It's funny, but I tell this to people. When you're interviewing somebody for a key position, and okay, we used to interview in the office. It doesn't happen anymore. Okay. But I always say, make sure you take them out to lunch. Take them into a Starbucks. See how they treat the barista. See how they treat the waiter, the wait staff. See how they treat them. That's going to tell you a lot about their DNA. What I find happening right now, this is what's so concerning, is people who you held on a pedestal pre-COVID are now crumbling like sand in the COVID environment. Because anybody can lead when times are good. That is a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer.
No doubt.
It's right now that you have to say, how do I lead now? Now, I'm not saying, people come across to me, they go, Mark, you are so incredibly positive. You're so incredibly optimistic and da 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 da. And I go, don't. And I said, well, hold it. Believe me. I mean, this morning, man, I was frustrated as can be. I was trying to get something done, and and I got down on myself for a couple of minutes. So, I mean, believe me, it's not like we're all Pollyanna 365 days a year, 24/7. Believe me. But here's what you have to have inside your DNA, inside your mind, is enough of this reservoir that you can, oh, wait a minute, that sucks. I got to cut that out. I got to pop up. And I got to make something happen. One of the things that I tell people to do right now is start the day off by just sending a text message, sending an email, sending a quick message to one person about how much you appreciate them. It's funny, but I've been doing this Monday mornings for years. Monday mornings, I'll just pop an email to a couple people. Hey, doggone it, you do some great stuff. Keep it up. And what does it do? It just elevates your mindset. And the reason I think it's so important to elevate your mindset is because even now in this environment, there's plenty of opportunities out there. But the vast majority of us never see them because we're so focused. We're so lasered in. And as a result, we don't see the opportunities. And that's what we have to take. That's what, when your head's screwed on straight. I'll share with you two examples. A few weeks ago, I was having a conversation with a gentleman, and he was saying, just give me some ideas how I can help manage the team. So I just began riffing. I just began sharing with him 6 or 7 ideas. He gets in, he goes, wow, that was good. Hung up the phone. I go, you're right. That was good. So I wrote them down. I built them out. I sent them out to a couple of other clients. They popped me back notes. That was great. That was really good. Thank you. Well, suddenly in the course of 3 weeks, I've now come up with a document I send out every Sunday night. It only goes to about 20 people. I don't have that many clients. And it goes to about 20 people. And it's just, I call it stay calm and lead. And it's just what I saw the week before. And the comments I'm getting back from people are just amazing. They're saying, hey, keep this stuff coming. Can I share it with my team? Can I share it with that? Sure, I don't care. I don't care who you share it with. Now, that's an opportunity that never would have happened if I had not taken the time to listen and share with this gentleman. Now, is that monetized? No. Is it creating value? Yes. So hopefully my clients love me and they keep me around longer. It may monetize itself somewhere down the road. Same thing. I was talking to a CEO of a company, manufacturing company, that has been deemed by the Homeland Security Administration as an essential company. They operate in a couple states. Their production facilities must remain open. Problem is, there's a couple elements in their production lines where people are pretty close together. I said, how are you handling that? He says, believe me, I'm scared. Every day we meet with the HR team. Has anybody tested for COVID? What's our plan, et cetera, et cetera? Because he said there's one piece in particular where we have 15 people that are fairly close environment. If any one of them gets COVID, we have to self-quarantine all of them. I have to question, how do I keep the production running going? And it was a very interesting conversation. And it's a fairly manual task. That's interesting. So about an hour later, I'm talking to a gentleman who is the sales manager for a conveyor belt supply chain manufacturing, anything that moves in a factory. I'm talking with him and he's saying, oh yeah, boy, a lot of capital expenditures have been cut and companies aren't doing this and yada, yada, yada. And I go, hey, here's something interesting. I was just talking to a gentleman and he was saying how he's scared with his people about getting COVID. And suddenly we began brainstorming. He says, wait a minute, that's our value proposition. Our value proposition right now is you need us more now than ever because you need to automate so you don't need as many employees, so you don't have as much of a risk of COVID-19 in your place of work.
Wow.
And it was like this guy was going to jump through the phone and kiss me. He called me back. Yeah. This was, let's see, today is Tuesday. Yeah, he called me back Friday. So this happened last Tuesday. He called me back on Friday. He said, Mark, this is unbelievable. Met with the sales team. We've reworked some things. And man, we are going out gangbusters on this value proposition. An opportunity created by listening and sharing ideas.
So great.
This is what sales is all about.
It really is. It really is. It's not a PowerPoint slide deck, right?
Oh, hashtag ditch the pitch more than ever right now.
It's not a script, right? The script is being genuinely interested, right?
Yeah.
Simple questions, open-ended questions. Tell
and
me
listening.
How you feel. How is this impacting you right now?
Yeah. 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 It's just, you reached out to me 20 minutes ago on Facebook and said, let's do it. And boom, here we are talking. There's no agenda. But what are we doing? We're sharing a genuine interest in each other, exploring deeper. And you're giving me some ideas on some things. I got to do these pop-up Zoom things. This is good. I'm glad you reached out to me, man.
Let me give you the reality of my life right now. I'm in California. I'm in Corona del Mar of all places. that's the name of the city. I'm in Corona del Mar, Corona by the sea. And it's 7:30 where I am. In fact, we started this probably about 7. And one of the things I kind of told myself is I need to get myself in a positive mindset because I've got meetings all day. It's like the people who I hadn't heard from years, like all of a sudden they're like, Doug, we need you right now. How can you help? Right. And so putting together processes, policies for making this work because this is becoming the new normal. But if I would have stayed in bed for 2 hours, right, and flip through social media, I said, oh, my day would have been totally shot. But now, like, just when talking to you and getting this energy, it helps me. And then also at the same time, I'm thinking about, how can I help you? Because it's like the value that we create for each other also creates value for others.
Bingo. This is adding 2 ingredients to a recipe and coming up with an amazing dessert. An amazing cake.
This is strategic multiplier of resources, right?
It
is 30 minutes, right? This is only 30 minutes of conversation, but the strategic multiplier of value is tremendous. And that's because we're able to hop on screen to screen just like this.
We have been given, this is going to sound crazy. We have been given a gift with this pandemic to force us to look at ourselves.
It's huge.
And we are going to come out of this thing. We will come out of this thing. Life is good.
Yeah.
We will come out of this incredibly smarter. We will. And that's why I get jazzed. You've known my schedule. I've traveled hundreds of days every year for years. And I haven't been on an airplane in like 3.5 weeks now. And it's weird, but you know what? I'm kind of liking it. this is kind of sweet. And am I getting a lot done? Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, I mean, I got to push, I got to share with you something funny. I had a number of people say, okay, so you're launching the book, A Mind for Sales, today, March 31st. And they go, this was like a couple weeks ago. Are you going to hold off on the launch? I go, no, I'm not going to hold off on the launch. No. Amazon reported that they weren't going to accept any shipments. Oh no. So I get on the phone with my publisher and they go, oh no, it's okay. They've got the books. Okay, good. Then Amazon announces they're not going to be shipping. Oh no. And then all these, and then we're going to have this big launch party. And this big launch party is going to have 150, 200 people live in a room here in Omaha. We're going to do this big party and can't do it. So then I shift and I do it, streamed it live last night on Facebook, Vimeo, YouTube. And here's what I'm finding. Every time you do something, you just come up with a different solution. You come up with a different idea. And there was no way that I was not going to come out with the book.
Yeah.
Because no. I may have some obstacles that are thrown in front of me, but I just figure out ways around them. There are solutions. Because if I had said, no, I'm not going to delay the book, then it would say that, wait a minute, I don't have a mind for sales. Excuse me. How could I not?
True.
Like,
so true.
Really? I mean, I kind of cracked up laughing when a couple of people who knew me really well, they called me and they said, because I kind of laughed at them, I said, hold on just a second. How in the world could you think that I would hold off when I wrote the book and you know who I am? I admit, there was one time about 2 weeks ago when we had been dealt about the fourth obstacle in a row. And for about 10 minutes, I did think maybe we should hold off. And then I realized that was a dumb idea. So I did have that glimmer, but I got rid of it quickly.
Yeah. It's human nature, right? The human condition is to quickly think about how things can't work, but you're trained. You're trained for this. Like this is the time to be able to get this out, right? And I think a lot of our speaker pals that are watching this, or I'll send you the transcript too, so it'll help you with some notes. Yeah, it's huge.
So what's going on with you? How are you going to help influence and impact people today?
Gosh, we're just doing this, right? Okay. I've been on a number of these conversations throughout the day. Whenever there's kind of a moment, you have to switch gears between serving customers or creating content, right? And creating content is the real conversations that we have that are really kind of understanding what some of the challenges are, and then finding out solutions in real time, kind of like we're doing, and then being able to repurpose that into a meaningful video or a marketing piece that now other people can relate to because it solves their problems. This is chapter 19 of the book, Screen to Screen Selling.
See, this is what I mean. You were marketing. You were a man ahead of the times. I mean, seriously. I mean, when you came out, I've got that book. I moved my bookcase here, so it's no longer, but it's in the other room, and yeah, I mean, because you came out with that book 7 years ago.
5 years ago, yeah.
5 years ago.
No, I looked at when I started this process. I wrote the book proposal in 2013. Started writing it in 2014. Got it published in 2015 and did a huge marketing deal, right? I even had Screen to Screen Selling podcast. In fact, a lot of those videos are still up on YouTube. But I pulled the podcast down from Libsyn just because I just got so frustrated and upset that people weren't taking to it. And I became an Amazon Alexa developer. And so, as I'm starting to think about, okay, well, if people aren't adapting to screen, I'm just going to take it up a notch. And so now I'm programming Amazon Alexa to do the teaching for us, where it's a talking TV that has access to this content in a way that's meaningful and relevant. So like 5 years from now, right? you're going to look back and everyone has one of these Alexa devices that's hooked up to their TVs. This will be one of the platforms that people will be able to go to. And hopefully I was able to inspire that innovation. And that innovation came out of just being resourceful, going back to school, investing in becoming an Amazon Web Services cloud practitioner, right? So I might not know how to write code like I can write a book, but I know how to be able to hire and delegate specific skills that weren't in my. I'm a marketing guy. I was never an IT guy.
So you've taken different skill sets and pulled them together.
Yeah.
And creating outcomes. This is the whole, again, if you go back over the history of mankind, in every difficult situation come amazing outcomes. If you go back to World War I, it's really where the airplane really began to take hold. World War II and communications and all these things. And you look at every difficult time that we find ourselves in. And this is where I say pandemic, the pandemic we're in right now. The healthcare community is truly going for a moonshot. And you know what? They will achieve it. They will achieve it. There is such a marshaling of resources. There's a marshaling of resources in telecommunication. There's marshaling of resources in so many ways that, again, we're going to look back. People say our lives are going to be changed forever. I don't know, but here's what I do know. During World War II, I was not alive. You were not alive, but there were some very dark days. But out of World War II came one of the greatest, probably the greatest economic expansion the United States has ever had. It's called the 50s. It's called the 50s. Amazing. Hey, guess what? I'm looking forward to those days again. We will get there. It will happen.
Yeah.
It will happen. I firmly believe it.
So I know that, when's your book coming out? People need this. People need to get.
Well, it's actually out. Today is release day, March 31st.
All right.
Today is officially release day. So the Audible, the Kindle, the hardcover, the CD is available, and Amazon, Barnes and Noble, BAM, any place where you buy books. If there are any bookstores still open, they would have them. But yeah, it really is. It's cool. And I'm telling people, please, when you get it, share an idea or two on social media.
It's good.
Let others know and leave a review. Leave a review, because right now, especially, people are really relying on other people to tell them, hey, is this a good book? So yeah, that's good.
Well, no doubt, without a doubt, anything you put out is like gold. Especially, I mean, we go back to some of these notes. It's just, it's always a pleasure to stay in touch with you. Kind of learn and share and grow with you together.
Thank you much. Yeah. Great to be on. I'm glad you reached out.
Yeah,
thank you.
Me too. Good. All right. Well, everybody, big round of applause. Mark Hunter. Woo! You're the best, pal.
Hey, thank you so much, man. Take care.
All right.
Thanks for reaching out. All right. Okay.